Good morning, church. How are we doing this morning? Beautiful, beautiful. If we have not met yet, my name is Andres Jimenez. I have the privilege of being on the board of the foundation. Thank you. I do a lot of things, but the foundation is one of them that I do. Today's reading comes from Psalms 139. O Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me. You know when I sit down or stand up. You know my thoughts even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do. You know what I'm going to say even before I say it, Lord. You go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand. I can never escape from your spirit. I can never get away from your presence. If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I go down to the grave, you are there. If I ride the wings of the morning, if I dwell by the farthest oceans, even there your hand will guide me, and your strength will support me. I could ask the darkness to hide me and the light around me to become night, but even in darkness I cannot hide from you. To you the night shines as bright as day. Darkness and light are the same to you. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you and lead me along the path of everlasting life. This is the word of the Lord. You may be seated.
Thanks. Well, good morning, everyone. Good to see you and welcome. I hope that you will grab a Bible. There's in the seat in front of you. There's one in the back. Maybe your neighbor brought one. You could take it from them. I was kidding about that part. Thank you that somebody was listening. Hey, if we haven't met, my name is Kainu, and it is just such a great privilege to be here and to be part of Vancouver Church. And we're going to dive into and move forward in this series about the Psalms and praying the Psalms. Jesus said these words. He said, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me." If you're a follower of Christ and you knew you could go to a coffee shop just down the road, and every time you went to that coffee shop and sat there, you could hear from God. You could hear Him directing you, guiding you, speaking comfort, whatever it is. If you could do that, how often would you go to that coffee shop? Yeah, a lot. Day after day, hour by hour, you would go there because we long to hear from God. If you're exploring faith, I want to let you know, especially if you're new around here, you may not know this, a bunch of us didn't grow up in church. I did not. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in the Bible. I challenged all that. I rejected all that. But something inside me was craving something more than what I had. When I finally began to discover who Jesus is, and I would go to church and I would hear about people praying, it was just, probably my most passionate prayer was, "Don't call on me to pray." You know what I'm saying? You're in the room, you're like, "Please don't call on me to pray." Because all of us, we want to be able to pray and to hear from God, but we're not always very confident in that. Again, if you're exploring faith, keep in mind that we don't follow a philosophy, we follow a physician. That we don't practice a religion, we grow in a relationship. That we study great doctrine so that we can meet the great doctor. Like, this is why we want to know the truth. And we study the sacred teachings because we want to get to the divine teacher. Jesus invites us to know Him. And if you want to hear from God more, you can hear from God more if you listen for God more. Does that make sense? Say that with me. Here we go. You can hear from God more if you listen for God more. Kind of hard to say, isn't it? You're like, Today we want to listen for God. How do you do that? This whole series is about following the Psalms in an effort to learn how to pray. And if we're going to listen for God more, then we got to start a conversation with Him. And in that conversation, start with your heart. Start by asking the Lord, "Hey, Lord, what's going on in my heart?" Proverbs chapter 20, it says this. It says, the purposes of a human heart are deep waters. Wise is the one who draws them out. This has got to be on my top 10, if not top 5 lists of verses that I quote when I'm sitting with other people. Because over and over, the difficulty that you're having with a friend, the struggle that you're having financially, the struggle that you're having with health, the issues that you have with God, ultimately, there's something going on down inside here, isn't there? Deep are the waters of a person's heart. Blessed is the one who draws them out. David does this. King David does this in his own heart. He comes before the Lord to draw this out. That's what these mini journals are for. I want to ask you, if you will, if you've got one of these, would you just kind of wave it at me here for a second so I can see that you got? Looks like the majority of the room has these. We've got some extras as well. So does somebody have those? Anybody? Can we commission someone? Excellent initiative. Thank you. And we'll walk around. If you need one, will you just kind of raise a hand and let her know? There she is. There's 2 right here. There's 1 up front. There's 1 over here. There's 4 over here. Okay, there we go. You guys were busy praying so much beforehand. Couldn't get one. Go ahead and just lift your hand up. You're going to need one of those. And also grab a pen. Grab a pen, look around, have that. It's going to be a few minutes, but we'll get there. We're going to step into an ancient practice that involves using the Psalms as a prayer guide to increase our ability to hear from God, hopefully. And we're going to give a small space of time to sit in quietness and to seek the Lord in our corporate gathering here this morning. But first, we're going to look through Psalm 139, little context for that. King David writes this. He is a leader, he's a giver, he is a load-bearing individual. His decisions have massive impact. Some of you walk in here today, you know that you have to make the right decisions, not just for you, but for those that are around you, a circle of friends, some coworkers, maybe you've got kids, maybe you've got employees. And David will discover in this psalm, almost kind of out of nowhere, that he is under tremendous pressure. He's opposed by enemies, all right? And what we're going to do is scoot down it pretty quick and look at their 5 sections through which we can view this psalm. The first one you heard, but let me speak it again. Verses 1 through 3 says this: "O Lord, you've examined my heart and know everything about me. You know when I sit down and when I stand up. You know my thoughts, even when I'm far away. You see when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything that I do. You know what I'm going to say before I say it. Lord, you go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessing on my head." One of the things that David is saying here is, God, only you see who I really am. I was talking with a young adult. She said something like this. She goes, "I love my parents. My parents love me. They had a great marriage. We had a great family. And I was very grateful for it. But one thing that saddened me is often my parents did not see me for who I really am. They wanted me to be social, but I wasn't. They wanted me to be charming, but I struggled relating to people. They wanted me to be a leader, but I was happier being part of the group." Any of you had that experience where someone loved you or loves you really, really well, but they keep wanting you to be someone other than you are? David is speaking that he is seen by God. Section 1 is that you see me. The next section jumps into verse 6. David's trying to grasp this reality that God's watching him all the time. Verse 6, he says, "Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand." And he's not just talking about the idea that, God, how do you do that? How do you keep track of every person in the world? And we make up big words to describe that, like omniscience and omnipresence, and we don't understand those at all. That's what makes God, God, okay? It's often beyond comprehension. But there's another piece that he's wrestling with in this, and it really is, I cannot grasp how great your love is for me. Go ahead and answer that. Okay, there we go. Sure is very important. where was I? One of the pieces that, it's such a cool privilege to be able with, as a pastor, as part of a church community, is you get to see the newborns, right? The first time for the parents. And I'm telling you, those parents, that's all they think about. That's all they watch. They just see that little one and fills their mind and fills their heart. This is what David is alluding. He's like, I can't believe how much you love me. I'm so small and you're so massive. And I'm so incredibly unimpressed with myself. And you're everything I could ever dream. God, I can't grasp it. And he goes on and he expands the idea of his awe regarding the love. Not only can I not grasp it, but I can't evade it. I can't get away from the love of God. It goes on at verse 7 where he says, I can never escape from your spirit. I can never get away from your presence. If I go up to heaven, you're there. If I go down to the grave, you're there. If I ride the wings of the morning or dwell on the farthest oceans, even there, your hand will guide me and your strength will support me. I could ask darkness to hide me, the light around me to become night. But even in darkness, I cannot hide from you. To you, the night shines as bright as day. Darkness and light are the same to you. I have a friend who just had a severe loss. And she's in this circle of people that I know at the gym. And we're like, hey, where you been? She talked about a loss that she had. And she said, I just went back in the cave. David is saying, even when I withdraw, you love me so much, I can't evade this love. Some of you have somebody that loves you so much that when you crawl back in the cave, you don't come out, what do? They come in. They come in looking for you. And it really ticks you off sometimes. But they love you. How much do you love me? I can't evade this. So Psalm 139, first 5 verses, you see me. And then the next verses, because you love me. You actually love who I really am. You're not waiting for me to be more lovable before you love me completely. You're not waiting for me to be more spiritual before you love me completely. Some of you are brand new to all this. It's in your mind that the Lord is happier and more loving toward the people that know him really well and have been doing it, and the ones that stand up front and sing the songs and all that. He's not waiting for you to become more spiritual before he loves you with everything that he is. David is pointing this out. That's the second section. The third section, verse 13, moving forward. He says, you made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb. Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous. How well I know it. You watched me as I was being formed in the utter seclusion, as I was woven together in the dark of the womb. You saw me before I was even born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. And then this is actually the key summary of the entire psalm, where he says, how precious are your thoughts about me, O God. They can't be numbered. I can't even count them. They outnumber the grains of sand. And when I wake up, you are still with me. David is in awe of how lovingly and beautifully God is obsessed with him. That when he falls asleep at night, his Father in heaven is watching. When he wakes up in the morning, his dad's watching him. Open his eyes. God watched you this morning. Who do you watch and wake up? I was talking to one of our senior saints, probably about 75, says he always gets up earlier than his wife, has quiet time, and then he'll almost always just look back at her peacefully sleeping. Who do you love so much that it's meaningful to watch them sleeping? David is speaking about this kind of love. And in these 5 sections, he's saying, you see me because you love me, and you have always seen me. I wonder which moments in your life, in fact, one of the questions in the little journal that we have there is, Lord, will you help me recall the moments I felt most alone? I have found that we tend to do some of the darkest things we never dreamed we would do in those moments. And David is saying, and you have known me through and through, and you love me, and you have always known me, even when I didn't know you were there. Then he takes this strange turn in the lyrics in the 4th section. He's basically up to this point, he's singing this love song, this praise song, and then he suddenly is like hissing with anger, as if he's almost suddenly trying to stop himself from cussing out his enemies. Where he says, only God, if you would destroy the wicked. It's like, hey, this one thing, if you would just destroy the wicked, and then he speaks to his enemies, get out of my life, you murderers. They blaspheme you, God. Your enemies misuse your name. Oh, Lord, shouldn't I hate those who hate you? Shouldn't I despise those who oppose you? Yes, I hate them with total hatred, for your enemies are my enemies. It seems to go completely off track to the theme of what he's doing here. But another piece that he's saying is this: God, only you see everything I'm going through. Only you truly see the depth of my suffering. And as you walk through these first 4 sections, he's saying, God, you see me because you love me. You have always seen me, and you see all my suffering. For some of you today, this is a hard, hard day. It's a hard season. Who knows the depth of pain that you are going through right now? In another circle of friends outside of the church, these friends, they don't seemingly know the Lord. And because one of my buddies, he's one of the more colorful orators in my life. I'm not joking. And he does not, he's not worried, guarantee, he is not worried about offending the pastor at all. Okay? So he's saying all these words that start with all sorts of letters. And so I happened to see his wife, and she said, hey, I just want you to know that his cancer came back. And I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. How's he doing? And she said, he's not doing great. You know, he's soldiering on, but he's really worried. And she listed some things out. I said, well, should I say anything? She goes, yeah, if you let him know, then it's, he knows and we can just move forward. So when I saw him later and chat and everything, and I'm like, hey, you're on my prayer list. Which always gets kind of a funny reaction out of him. But he's like, hey, thanks. I said, how are you doing? He goes, yep, doing good. I said, well, life's pretty hard last time I checked, it's beautiful and hard. He's like, oh, it's what you make it, right? Just staying positive, staying sunny. From everything I know, he is not aware that God actually knows exactly how he feels. And that he cares. Some of you, a friend invited you to church. I want you to know this. They invited you not because they were going to make more religious points with the church or with God himself. It's not how our faith system works. The reason they invited you was because Jesus is the most reliable person in their life. And when they're going through suffering, he's their closest comfort and their clearest companion, okay? That's right. You aren't a project. They love you. They care about you. My friend, as far as I can tell, he doesn't know how much God thinks about him. That God was watching him when he went to bed last night and when he got up this morning. And I want him to know that. I want him to know that. I want him to have that comfort and that presence. And as we head into the final section, I'll kind of give away the punchline to verses 23 and 24. David says, you see me because you love me. You've always seen me. You see all my suffering. And then he asks, through these statements, he asks a question. He says, Lord, what do you see in me? Whose assessment of you do you trust? Like, who sees you for who you really are, maybe even knows you at times better than you know yourself? Do you have anybody in your life like this? In addition to my own kids, I have about 100 nephews and nieces, okay? And one of the nieces, she every now and then battles. She's very put together and every now and then battles some anxiety. And I'll know when she's feeling it in the room because her pinky finger will just start gently, just basically caressing her own eyebrow. And I think it's just a self-comforting, self-soothing. I don't even know if she knows that she does it. Who knows you better than you know yourself? Early on in our marriage, I'd be at times distant in my relationship, my new married relationships. Sometimes I'd be distracted. Sometimes I would be irritable. And every once in a while, hard as it is to believe, I would be annoying. It's hard to vision. And of course, that would lead to the conflict and the argument and that. And when I calmed down and apologized for being such a dummy, Diana, filled with grace, she'd go, hey, you know what? I think you're just worried about getting enough kids to camp because you know these ones, you're not sure that they're going to be able to make it. I know that you got that counseling situation that's been really, really tough and that you speak after the week after you get back and your dad hasn't been feeling well. I think those things have been weighing on you. And I'd be like, wow, you're like a genius. And I'd be like, yeah, that's right. So I learned this early on, and guys, I will tell you this. I learned this early on. I would when I started feeling these tensions or when I was feeling the stress or being annoying and that kind of thing, I would stop and I'd be like, Diana, how do I feel? No joke. I would ask her often. Guys, do it. Your wives, they have like this super sense, like their brain is more developed, okay? And I would ask her, hey, how do I feel? And she would say, she would just start rambling to me what happened the week before and what I was thinking. She knew me better than I knew myself, and at times she does. Who knows you better than you know yourself? God does. And he will speak to you about you if you ask him about your own heart. You can do that today. And that's not the in club and the out club. It's anyone who seeks the Lord. You have not because you ask not. Seek and you find. Knock and the door will be open to you. So that's why we're taking time today to mimic David. David, he knows that God knows him better than he knows himself. And so he essentially asks, hey, God, what am I feeling right now? What anxiety is built up in me? What offensive way have I said against you? How much do you have to trust somebody to actually say, okay, shoot me straight. Tell me my failing. Tell me my flaws. It's incredible. In an age filled with selfies, right? Do I look happy? Does it look authentic? And we're thinking about our external life. God is calling us, and so few of us go down into our own hearts. And there's this thing called the prayer of Examen. It's spelled a little bit different than but it's basically where David is saying, hey, God, you've examined my heart. And the prayer of Examen is partnering with God to assess my heart and my mind and my motives. It comes from this Latin word, examine, and it's basically the needle on a scale. If you have a scale that weighs back and forth, wherever that needle is pointing, that's the examine. And it's giving you an assessment of who you are. That's what we want to do. That's what he is doing. David is. And while we're going to use our intellect, guys, this is really important. While we're going to do our intellect, like there's 6 questions in this little booklet, in this little mini journal. If you get through all 6 of those today, then you passed up what David did. You're stepping past the prayer of Examen. You're just intellectualizing and self-assessing, and there's some value to that, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is implying your intellect, but then opening your spirit to the Spirit of God who is present in our midst. I love Henry Nouwen, so many things he says, but one little statement, he says, heart speaks to heart. And what he's talking about is the heart of God will speak to your heart if you will slow down and you will listen, if I will slow down and I will listen. And as we consider this, I want to lean on Richard Foster for a moment. If you want an excellent book on prayer, Richard Foster is a contemporary classic. And in it, he talks about all these different kinds of prayers, including the prayer of Examen, or it could also be called the prayer of assessment. And to do that well, to assess my own heart is like walking a balance beam. It's so easy to fall off to either side. I can fall off to the side of grace or I can fall off to the side of truth. And so I need God to walk me down that balance beam. Richard Foster, he says this about going solo without God and examining our hearts. He says, if we are the lone examiners of our heart, 1,000 justifications will arise to declare our innocence. We will call evil good and good evil, as Isaiah says. But since God is with us in the search, catch this, we are listening more than we are defending. There was a writer I was reading recently who was talking about when you unearth the sin in your life that's actually there, it's an offering and an act of worship to hand it to God. And guess what? He doesn't love me any more or any less, before or after. But what do I discover? Is that I can be naked and without shame before God because he clothes me. He forgives me. Some of you today have to drop the game of religious performance and engage with your Father in heaven who loves you more than anyone on the face of the earth. And you got some people that love you and love you well. Our petty rationalizations and our evasions of responsibility, I'm embarrassed before myself sometimes at the motives that I have when I look back on a conversation and realize, oh my goodness, I wish I could take that sentence back because it revealed how self-promotional I am. But there is freedom when you come to your Father and you just say, hey, Dad, I'm so cocky and I'm so sick of it. I'm so arrogant. Would you just free me up? And he's like, yeah, I will. And there's this path of humility, and maybe the next time I'm a little less cocky. Not only will we go too easy on ourselves if we try to self-assess, and fall to the side of grace, but we will then, a day later or a moment later, we will be so hard on ourselves. Foster continues, if left to our own devices, it's easy for us to take one good look at who we truly are and declare ourselves unredeemable. Our damaged self-image votes against us, and we begin beating ourselves mercilessly. Anybody know that? The whole trail of shame. And that we travel it over and over and over. And the Lord's like, hey, I know that you're weak. I know that you're frail. Let's go. Get up. Get up. I've got more for you. I've got freedom for you. Foster continues, it says, but with God alongside, we are protected and comforted, and he will never allow us to see more than we are able to handle. He knows that too much introspection can harm more than it helps. This morning, we're going to take about a 10-minute window of quietness and walk through some questions associated with each each section of this. You know, I do a ton of journaling. Some of you, journaling does not work well for, and it's not going to be a go-to in your lifetime. But I want to call you to work at it today and to take some time. I probably have 15 or 20 of these across the last 40 years. I don't even look back in them all that much, but I open them up and I'll write in the date. This one happens to be 4th of July, Saturday, July 4th, 2026. I was at home, 10:30 a.m. It's clouds, it's 55 degrees. I like to be able to think back to those things, and then I'll start writing, and it helps me focus. And sometimes I'm writing like, Lord, I can't focus, please help me. Some of you, writing words isn't going to help that much. You need to draw pictures. And you are officially empowered by the pastor to doodle in church. In fact, some of you will actually learn more in these sermons if you're able to draw while you're listening, and you should do that. At this point, I want to ask you if you would just get your mini journal out, get your pen out. I hope that you have a Bible nearby. That'll be important because the idea is to read 5 verses and then answer the question in your booklet right there, okay? If you need to move out to another space, that's totally fine. If you need a booklet, just come find me. I'll get one for you. And so, with that, we're just going to put a little atmospheric music over you. Remember, you're only trying to get through 1 or 2, maybe 3 questions at the most. And ask these questions of God. Some of you might be like, well, wait a second. Are these my thoughts or these God's thoughts? Just write the thoughts down. Then you can ask God, hey, God, are these your thoughts or are these mine? For some of you, you don't have the Bible. I think on the tap, you can go to YouVersion. You may not want to mess with that right now, but if you don't have that app, you can tap your phone on that seat in front of you. It'll pop up a Bible version, and you can go in there and find Psalm 139. And like I said, you read the first 5 verses and then ask the question. Write some things, sit quiet, ask the question again. Jot some things down, sit quiet. Even if this is foreign to you, I want to encourage you. Even if you're still trying to figure out if God is real, give it a shot. Just say, okay, God, if you're real.
If you are listening to the Vancouver Church audio podcast, here are the questions for you to prayerfully examine and reflect upon. Question 1. Read Psalm 139, 1 through 5, and ask the Lord, Lord, do I want you to see every part of who I really am? Why? Question 2. Read Psalm 139, 6 through 12, and ask the Lord, Lord, what parts of myself do I try to hide from you? Why? Question 3. Read Psalm 139, 13 through 18, and ask the Lord, Lord, bring to mind moments when I felt most alone. What were you doing then? Question 4. Read Psalm 139, 19 through 22, and ask the Lord, Lord, whose presence or absence feels threatening to me? Why? Question 5. Read Psalm 139, 23, and ask the Lord, Lord, reveal 2 or 3 of my biggest fears. Question 6. Read Psalm 139, 24, and ask the Lord, Lord, show me any ways I dishonor you.